My name is Dawn and I'm the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener, and this week my plan is to look at garlic and also some seed saving. So things I've learned redoing the videos is that I need to speak up. So at the moment I don't have a mic. I'm hoping to get one in the future. I promised myself that when I get to 1,000 subs I'll buy myself a mic. But in the meantime, I just need to remember to speak up so that the camera can hear me. But I do have a tripod now with a camera clip, or a phone clip. So the family got sick of me asking them to hold the phone for me and video record for me. So hubby has kindly given me his much loved tripod and bought me a clip for it so that my phone now goes in. So hopefully my videos will be a wee bit steadier and a little less shaky as they were with the selfie stick. So I'm really pleased with that. Today I thought I would do some seed saving stuff. I collected a load of seeds over autumn and a lot of them just sat in containers drying. I have spent some time doing some work on them, but there's still a load that I need to work on. I predominantly save seeds from flowers, not so much my vegetables. The reason for that is a lot of vegetables cross-pollinate and you don't get a true outcome from your next year's seed. For example, cucurbits, so that's things like your cucumbers and your courgettes, etc. They will cross-pollinate quite easily, and then when you grow the seed the following season, you end up with a non-true new plant. I've done this in the past. One year I saved seed diligently from my courgettes. They were next to some scalopini that year. When I grew the seed on the following year, I ended up with a sort of a green blob, and a pale green blob, and it was not very pleasant tasting. A lot of energy went into that for a lot of little output. So I don't generally save my seeds from my vegetables, but I do from my flowers. Some vegetables you can save seeds from, things like tomatoes, though if you have different varieties, you may not get a true variety the following season, but you can get some interesting mixes from them. Definitely from peppers, so like the capsicum type peppers. There again, you may get some cross-pollination and not get a true seed the following year, but another thing that can be interesting. Chilies is a good one. That's how I started my chili adventures, was getting some seed from a friend. Well, she gave me 2 chilies and I saved the seed out of those, and that's how I started growing my chilies. And other things, while not specifically like a seed, you can save your own garlic bulbs from your previous crop to grow on the following year, and or potatoes. Yams is another one that you can grow on from your previous crop. So some of the flower seeds that I saved this year were things like sweet pea, hollyhock, nigella, which is also known as love in the mist, loads and loads of poppies, different types of poppy. I grew a really, really big headed poppy that was amazing. It was called a peony poppy, but I've also got like the general run-of-the-mill poppy seeds. I also saved some calendula and some alyssum. Both of those I saved as seeds, but they have also self-seeded all over the garden, so I've been digging up their little seedlings and potting them on for later use. So over winter, it's too cold to be out in the garage to be doing things like this, or even sowing seeds and things like that. So I have a little station that I made up on the end of the dining table. I have an old towel I use to keep things clean, and I try and keep everything in containers and try and not spread my mess around the house. just brought the camera in a bit closer to have a look at what I'm doing as far as seed saving this morning. At the moment, I've got a container of hollyhock seeds here. I've had mixed results with saving these. Bring it in a bit closer. Some of them have deteriorated quite badly, even though they were laid out flat on a towel to dry. Some of them have got quite dusty, for probably a better word. But I've just popped them in the container here at the moment, and I try not to put lids on them because they can sweat, but my darling Bo likes to pick things up out of the containers at night, and I'll often find little seed pods all around the house, so that's one of the reasons I really need to get these done today. But when you're doing your seed collecting outside, just remember to label your seeds, and that's probably fairly intelligible writing for most people. I can barely read it, that was my bad handwriting. But it's important that you know what you save. Some seeds you can tell from what they look like, but other seeds you can't. Now, hollyhock seeds are fairly easy to tell what they are, as you can see there. The reason why I've been labelling them is that I'm trying to separate the colours out so that I can grow specific colours preferably, though they may have cross-pollinated and I'll just get what I get. Seeds. This is a fairly dried up head, and I'm going to see if I've got any viable seeds in here, and you just need to peel back. I've got a pair of old forceps that I've somehow come into owning, but you could use anything, tweezers. Just pulling that back, and actually this one does have some good seeds. A lot of them have just dried off, and I'll see if I can bring that in. And that's the seeds there, and what you need to do is just flake them off. They're like in a little donut, and just flake them off and just drop them, and there they go. And they look fairly good. Anything that's not good you just biff out, because it's no point keeping rubbish seed, because it's not going to germinate. So anything damaged or dusty or just doesn't look like it's dried properly. And that's about as much I think as I'm going to get out of that one that's decent. And then just biff your bits away, and hopefully over time I'll get enough seeds to do a good display of hollyhocks. Though the ones that I had in the garden last year I have left, and I just cut them off near the base but not right at the base. I've left a little crown of foliage there, and I'm hoping that they'll come away early spring. So once you've saved your seeds and collected them and tidied them up, you need to be able to keep them warm and dry, and somewhere out of the direct sunlight so that they keep their vigour. Now, I tend to use these little cash pay envelopes that come from the warehouse, and I find that they work really well for what I want. The only thing that I find not great about them is the sticky bit there, but what I do is once I've popped the seed in and sealed it, I also fold it down and I just put a couple of paper clips over there, and it stops the seeds ending up all over my boxes that I keep my seeds in. So all done, ready to go, and everyone's got their own method and way that they like to keep their seeds in, and what order that they like to keep them in. I just use these little photo storage boxes, and for my flower seeds I'm fairly boring. I just do them in alphabetical order, and that way I can think, okay, hollyhock age, and then go and look for them. With my vegetables I tend to do them in families, so like brassicas will be cabbages and things like that. But I do find these very helpful. I can take them out as is in the garden and know that they'll stay my seeds will stay relatively dry. So if I'm spreading water around indiscriminately, then I know that my seeds, as long as the box is closed, will stay dry. So I've just been working away quietly doing the hollyhock seeds, and I've finished them all now. And I've moved on to some catnip seeds, and I just thought I'd show you that there's different ways for collecting different seeds. The hollyhock ones, you had to go in and break up the wee hub and get the seeds that way. But for something like catnip, you just cut off the seed, the flower head when it's almost finished, and dry it, and then you just need to bash it into a bowl and the seeds come off. I'll bring you in a bit closer and show you what I mean. I'm going to be decapitated for this shot, but it is what it is. So for the catnip, it's simple as just getting something and putting the flower head, dried flower head, over a bowl and just tapping it, and the seeds are falling into the bowl, as is some of the leaf, but that flower head. But that's okay, I'll pick that out later. And it's just dropping away there quite nicely. You can do this for things like lavender. Lavender's very easy to harvest as well if you want to save those heads. I'm lucky most of my lavender self-seeds, and I just pick up the plants out of the garden as they get to a decent size and just transplant them on. Bring that a bit closer for you to have a look at. Yes, there's lots of seed head in there, but all the black is the seeds itself. So I'll collect all that and I'll use that to come spring and grow some more catnip. Another seed that's really easy to harvest is the old sweet pea seed. So once it's nice and dry, all you got to do is just crack open the casing and out pops the sweet pea seeds. And this can be like for your veggie seeds too, so pea, shelling peas. Just leave some on the plant to dry and pick them off, and once the husk is really dry, you can pop them out and save them for next. Same with beans, broad beans, anything like that can all be saved and used again for the following season. Right, so last time you saw me I was seed saving. That was not quite a week ago, that was Sunday. We've had basically 9 days of rain, cold weather, even with a wee bit of snow on the hills around us. Not been the greatest. So today's Saturday the 14th, and I'm just trying to catch up with the things that I haven't done. Yes, the sun's in my eyes and I might just have to do that for a bit. A bit behind on my recording. I normally would finish yesterday on Friday, but with the bad weather and a few other events happening, I haven't got to be able to do that. So with the glorious sunshine, I'm going to enjoy that, and I'm going to talk to you today about planting garlic. Now, I've actually planted my majority of my garlic out in my beds, and I did that about 4 to 6 weeks ago. My rationale this year was that I was going to try and get ahead of the rust. Normally I plant on the shortest day and harvest around the longest day, but last season I had quite significant rust on my garlic just before I harvested it, and I did actually harvest it a wee bit early because of the rust. But what I thought I'd do today is plant some garlic out into a big pot, and then I'll have even more garlic, which is great. Garlic's been used as a culinary ingredient for thousands of years. It's part of the allium family, which is the onions and similar to that, chives, etc. It's native to Central and Southern Asia, but over the eons it's moved all around the world and been used for culinary as well as medicinal uses over the eons. There's two main forms of garlic, so there's the hard neck and the soft neck. And yes, there is elephant garlic, but elephant garlic isn't actually a garlic. It is a form of a leek, and it is a milder form of garlic taste rather than actually being a garlic. Now, soft neck garlic is the one that I usually plant because it's got a longer shelf life than what the hard neck garlic is. Hard neck garlic though does give you a bonus, so closer to harvesting time it puts out something called a scape, which is like the seed head, and that is actually prized to be a separate culinary ingredient. A lot of people like to cook them up and do them in things like risottos, etc. There are many varieties in both soft-neck and hard-neck garlic, and it just depends on where you live to what's best for your environment. Some garlics prefer the cooler climates, while others prefer the warmer climates. The garlic I'm looking at today is garlic that I saved myself from last year's harvest. And when I got this, so about just over 12 months ago, I got the original bulbs. I bought them and they were supposed to be, I think, Italian garlic or something like that. I bought them from a proper nursery. But historically, I've just planted the garlic I've bought from the grocery shops, and it's been just fine for me. But I wanted to get some garlic that I knew would really, really last me, and so this grew really well last year, and I saved the best bulbs for planting out this year. So whatever garlic you plant, the thing is not to actually break the bulb up until you're ready to plant. Otherwise the clothes will dry out and lose their vigour, and you just won't get a good crop, or less likely to get a good crop from it. There are many things that affect garlic, mainly things like rust, which is the most common one that you'll hear people talk about. But there is also things like allium white rot, which is a fungal infection that affects the soil. And unfortunately, from what I gather, because I don't have this here, but from what I gather from reading and listening to other people, once you've actually got it in the soil, you can't plant garlic in that area again. And any garlic that you do have that does have that, you need to dispose of actually in a green council bin, waste bin, rather than putting it in your own compost, because all you're going to do is spread that fungal infection to other areas of your garden. I'm no expert on what affects garlic as far as infections and things. I've had in the past the good old black fly, but normally, as I've just said, rust is my biggest problem. However, there are other things that affect garlic and or alliums, and I gather that there is something called the allium leaf miner, which I haven't dealt with, but there is a lot of information on the net about that and how to deal with it. I did struggle to find and confirm whether it's actually in this country, because most of the information was from overseas, but you will know what's happening in your own area, or you could do research, or just ask your local gardening groups, because what is local knowledge is the best thing that you can get. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring the camera in a bit closer, and I'll divide the bulb up, and then I'll plant it out and show you what I'm doing with that. Right, growing conditions for garlic. Garlic likes good rich soil. It needs to be fed regularly every 4 to 6 weeks during its growth, especially if you're doing it in something like a pot. It likes well drained soil, so not claggy soil, because it's just going to rot in situ. And it takes around about 4 weeks, depending on your weather, for the bulbs to actually start peeking up across above the surface of that soil. Today I'm just using a big pot. I have popped in some new compost, but I haven't popped in any blood and bone or anything like that today. In my raised beds, when I planted it, I did put some blood and bone just to give it a wee bit of a boost. But that had been sitting there for a while, that soil, and it had already had a crop in it. This is fresh compost, fresh soil, so I don't really need to put anything in it at the moment, but in about 4 weeks time I'll need to give it a wee feed. So I'm just going to get the garlic ready now to plant, and when I've done that I'll bring you back. No point you seeing me struggling with the bulb to try and get it apart. So I've pulled my garlic bulb apart into close, a bit of detritus there. Really important that you make sure that you've got this bottom bit where the roots have been. Don't cut that off or anything. You want to have the top bit as well, and don't peel your garlic. You need to put it in with the papery cover around it. With any seed or bulb or anything like tubers, you want to plant your best, not the weediest that's left over. Okay, so I'm going to be planting these nice big fat juicy cloves, and I'll put them out onto the pot to work out. I won't be planting these little weedy ones today. I might do it later. I actually planted up a little pot of weedy ones just as a experiment and put them in the greenhouse. Last time I looked, nothing had popped up, but just wanted to see what happened to them. I've got plenty of eating garlic in the house, so I didn't need them for that. But you want these nice big chunky ones. Whoops! And don't throw them around like I just did. Now, you don't want to put your garlic too close together. Definitely in the beds, I've got them well apart, around about 15 to 20 centimetres apart in the row. That's to help with things like disease and pest prevention, so that they're not tucked up, they get plenty of air. Plus, you want to give them room to actually grow. In a pot, it's a wee bit different. So I've got what have I got? 6. I've got 7. So that for that size pot, which is a 30-litre pot, that's enough. I wouldn't put any more in there. So now I'm going to plant these up, and you want to plant them around about 5 centimetres deep. I usually find that they're about that deep for my finger as a rough guide. I don't go around measuring, but yeah, around 5 centimetres deep is a good depth for them. Any deeper, they're just going to take longer to come up, which is fine. Any shallower, they might just get a bit frost burnt. So I'm just going to plant these now. Go digit. And you plant rough bit where the roots are down, and the pointy bit up. Now, if your soil was dry, give it a good drink. This is really wet because we've just had 9 days of rain, and even though the compost came out of the bag was fairly wet. So I won't give that any further watering. However, I will go and get some Bo defences, because Bo, my black and white cat, will probably dig this up given half a chance as soon as I turn my back. So I probably should have done this when I knew where the garlic was still, but yeah, it is what it is. So I'm just going to pop some of these around, trying to avoid my garlic. And hopefully this will prevent Bo digging them up. It has with the bulbs. He was digging up all my bulbs at one stage, and having these seems to have deterred him enough to give up doing that, which is good. Here we go. Little army of sticks I'm growing. That's what all my pots look like, and sometimes my veggie bed looks like little rows of sticks that are growing. So I'll leave this here over winter, and I may or may not move it come spring, because I'll be putting my flowers, pots and things like that along here. But this is a nice sunny, warm position for it. It's somewhere I'll remember to water it if we don't get more rain, which at the moment looks unlikely. I'm sure we get more rain. What I might do now is take you down to where I have planted my garlic in the main beds, and we'll see if any of it's popped up, because it certainly should have. It's had about 6 weeks at least at the moment. So I have my garlic in 2 places in this bottom bed, and yes, we have garlic. Not the stuff in the nice neat rows there, it's the stuff just down here. Let's see if I can point to it. There we go, there. And there's another row of it there. And it's just nicely popping its head out there. Not all of it's up yet, I can see some of it pushing up the dirt. I've got a few nasturtiums there that are competing, which I'll pull out, though the really cold weather will have knocked them right back. Right, it's that time of week where we sit down and have a cuppa together. It's actually Saturday today rather than the Friday, which I have been doing. It's been a bit of a weird and rough week for me this week, but the sun's out today, so after 9 days of yucky weather, we've actually starting to see the light, which is wonderful. In regards to the seed saving stuff, I have put links in the description for the little envelopes and also for the photo boxes. I'm not associated with either of those companies, but that's where I've got my stuff from previously. Now, in regards to the garlic planting, which we did earlier today, there's a screed of information online about how to, where to, what bugs will come along and have a go at your garlic, what diseases that are potentially going to ruin your crop. So I will put some links to New Zealand based stuff in the description for you to have a look at if you want to do some further research for that. I really appreciate everyone who's subscribed today. It's awesome, and watching the videos and commenting and liking. It all helps with that weird YouTube algorithm. But if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, it's free. I'm aiming to get to 1,000 subs, and then I'm hoping to buy myself the wee mic that I can then add to the quality of the videos that I can put out. If you can like the video and comment, that's even better. It all helps again with this weird algorithm. And by watching the video all the way through, that helps link it to other videos that will then people will be able to see what I'm doing as well. After 9 days of rain, cold, and even snow on the hills around, it's lovely to see the sun today, and by the looks of the weather forecast coming up, we're going to see a bit more. So I hope to be able to get out into the garden this coming week and do some stuff with you around the garden. Thank you for joining me this week, and I hope to see you again next week. And I hope you have a happy and safe week coming up. But for now, I'll say bye and enjoy a cup of tea while I do some editing. Bye.